welcome. So we have a lot we're going to talk about today in this fireside chat, and we're so thankful to have Jer here. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Jer in person, and I'm so happy I did. I'm so glad we got to talk and chat more, and I'm really thankful that you've been down to do this because I know it takes some time and some technical achievements, but we made it.
I want to just go on
Um,
record to say that if there's any problems with this entire stream, you can blame it on me, and I'll take it
no.
because I think I messed it all up. So we're glad that we're
No,
here. At least we made it this far. So if you're here with us, congrats.
the only person we can't blame is Dan Techman because
100%.
he's doing God's work over there. But I also take the blame. So with that being said, hello. Let people kind of trickle in for a few minutes. I know we're a little late, and just to double check, Jared, are you good for going a little over? Or do you have a hard stop right at time
Oh,
today?
I can go as long as we'd like to talk. I
Oh,
love talking
okay.
about this stuff. So I'd
Oh,
love to spend as much time with you guys as possible.
cool. Well, thank you for being flexible. Hi, everyone. Seeing some love in all the chats and all the emotes. Well, of course, the most emotes we've seen over here in on Twitch.
Dog Squad comes through with my booty emote for sure. So you'll see a lot of booties, dog booties in chat.
I feel blessed for the dog booties.
Also, we
Alright.
talked a little bit off stream. I know, Shane can get a little out of control, so I have a button ready just in case.
What,
So
in case I do like
just in
what?
case, like if you're just getting wild and I just need to like censor you, just boom, we're good.
Is it in case I say
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready for
I'm
the
ready.
stream.
I'm ready. All right, cool. Sweet. Well, looks like yeah, we got people kind of popping in. Think things good on our end. Checking on YouTube. YouTube must be good, right? We're good? Sweet. Okay. Well, all of the checks have been put into place and we're good to kick it off. With that, I think yeah, and YouTube is good, right? I just gotta double
So many
check.
chats.
Are you good, chat or good YouTube? How you doing over there, bud?
I see Flack.
I see people saying hi, but I just want to make sure they can hear us. You good? Okay, they see your shirt. Perfect. Okay, great. Sometimes YouTube is a little behind, so I want to make sure. All right. So that aside, we're gonna kick it off. I think it is time. We've teased them long enough, Jer.
Yeah.
If for those of you here who who happen to not know Squatingdog, which I would be very surprised, because he's very, very prevalent on social media within the community. He does a lot for the community, and we're very, very appreciative of that, and has done a lot in general for Fortnite, but also specifically for our community. So it's kind of been all over the place and is not only a Fortnite creator, which is more recent for you in your
Yeah.
career, I know, but you've been a content creator for quite some time and have really pioneered that space within Fortnite too. So we are so thankful to have you. But I would love for you to share in your own words, Jared, for those who are here. I see a lot of people from your community, but for those who are here who might not know a whole lot about you, in your own words, what has your journey been like within this community?
It's been wild. It's been life changing. It's been wild. Like I started off just loving the game, and I come from I used to work at a college, essentially helping kids make better decisions for themselves. Did a little bit of suicide prevention stuff, but got really, really exhausted from how tough that can be. And so I played games to de-stress, and always did that my entire life. And then Fortnite was a little bit special because I got to use some of my graphic design skills to help players find things in their battle pass more efficiently. And that kind of was the start of the Squatingdog, which I didn't plan on having that be my name, but it blew up under that gamer tag. So we're stuck with Squatingdog. A lot of people are like, why do you have that name? And it's like, one of my favorite movies as a junior hire. Funny moment. Thought it would be funny to have. Did not think I would have a professional job with that name. So it's funny because it's memorable. It's fun because I don't take myself seriously, and that brings life into a lot of circumstances. And so yeah, we ended up just creating these sheets that people utilized and shared, and it built a crazy community of people trying to help each other out. Started
Mm.
streaming and creating content where I wanted to have fun with the game. You know, people are getting crowns, people are getting wins, people are doing those things. I just had more fun trying to find really, 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 really dumb ways to eliminate people in the game and clip it and post on it. And those also went viral, which was super fun. And yeah, so then, you know, creative came out. I looked at it. It didn't have an undo button. I left it. And then UEFN came out, and it was like, as a creative person and somebody who loves creativity more than anything, and then being also highly relational, it just felt like a really cool and exciting venture to jump onto. And yeah, here I am, like expedited version of my story.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share all that. And what an interesting story you have. I haven't had one so similar to that in the talks that we've had. So very unique. We love that, and it's so cool that it's all built off of community. Not just saying that because I'm a community manager, but I also and I also want to flag. So we've got chats going on here, and for those of you who haven't attended one of these before, we're basically going to go through questions that were submitted from the audience. Some were submitted by myself, all about the different topics that Squatingdog here is really passionate about, can share a lot of knowledge on. And also feel free, if there's questions you have, you can drop them in chat. Because of the technical situation we have going on today, I've got things kind of clumped all over my screen. So if you see me looking around all over the place, it's because I have to look all over the place in order to make sure that I catch anything. So apologies on that. And also, I don't even get to see Jer in real time, so I'm struggling a little. But if you can bear with me here, yeah, we will definitely be paying attention to chat. Actually, and for you too, Squatingdog, if you see anything in the Discord chat or anything and you want to respond, feel free, take the time, because I might miss something with all the craziness today. But that disclaimer aside, we have the first question we had was about you transitioning
Yeah.
into that space, which you already addressed. And I guess I kind of want to bring it back to, instead of just asking that question again, in this transition that you have had, not only being a content creator, but now, creating things within Fortnite, creating UGC content within a platform. What has it been like so far in terms of tapping into your creativity, and how has that felt? Has it been what you thought it would be? Has it been satisfying in the creative ways that you expected?
Yeah, I think like with creativity, like it's boundless energy, you know, like there's just like you just go so far. And UEFN has kind of created some necessary boxes to think outside of, if that makes sense. Like I really do think that some of our best creative work comes with limitation. Like, and so I expected, I think, going into this, less limitation, but I got more limitation in the sense of what you can actually do, right? Like I think I assumed like, oh yeah, like I'll just build an open world, this, and this, and then you realize, oh no, there's so many things in game design that are required to have data and have like a specific amount of devices you can use, whatever it is, right? And so those limitations start to populate, and you realize, oh, I have to actually think about this more dynamically than just like I have unlimited server usage on Epic Games server, right? Like I have to think about how to work within those bounds, and that actually creates some really incredible moments and stuff. And so I think like when I came in, I was just like open, you know, I wasn't like expecting too much. And then that openness, like, and like our limitations that we naturally have to work with in game design start to curate some really incredible things. And I think some people get distracted about some of the hurdles that come your way, but I think that they're really important to design and building something that your audience really wants, by learning from those types of things that come your way through through building wonderful games.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing this because I heard it for the first time. Sorry, I'm just playing with things on my desk. I heard it for the first time when we had Future Trash on the last live stream, where
Mm.
they said something very similar because they came from different backgrounds in creative industries. And they said actually the limitations that are within the platform similarly, help them focus more, help them create things, like have to challenge themselves to create something very specific. But they said
Mm.
it helped a lot because they were so used to future creep and, taking on too much or planning too big or getting lost in the sauce, where they could just go, okay, I can only do this, I have these parameters and I can fit it in there. How creative can we get within that? So it's cool
Yeah.
to hear that you felt the same way. I wasn't sure if it was specifically just because of the industries they came from that they, were
Mm.
having that experience. So thank you for sharing that. Very helpful.
What's really funny is like I wanted to create a Christmas update to one of my maps, and I was like, ooh, like I'll find a Christmas tree, in a store, and I brought it in, and the map size went from like 93,000 to 150,000, and I was like, and then I learned in that moment, oh, triangles. There's a million triangles on
Oh,
this thing,
yes.
and it like
Yep.
cannot
Oh,
handle
yeah.
that. So like you have to learn, you learn by doing things, right? You learn by exploring the product and like how we utilize it, and you make so many mistakes, and it's what we do with those mistakes that help inform what we're creating. And I think like there's people out there that get really discouraged by that, and I kind of like have learned really early on that there's just a lot of stuff that you won't know until you make that mistake, and then you go, oh, that's why this thing is a thing, and then you learn from it and you build upon it, and then it gets faster and faster in terms of like what you know and like what you accumulate, and then you are able to build a faster product over time by understanding those things. But it takes, I think, a lot of like dead ends to go, oh, okay, can't put this Christmas tree in here because it's literally the biggest thing in the world. I gotta find a way to get a low poly or whatever. So yeah.
No, that's an amazing point, Jared. I think, especially one thing I've learned just in the industry and from my experience as well, the moment that I kind of came across the idea of like retrospection and, writing down when you've done some kind of a big accomplishment, big project, an island, a YouTube video that you've worked really hard on, and just kind of assessing, okay, how did it go? What are the wins? What are the learnings?
Mm.
What didn't go well? And speaking of which, what didn't go well this time? And then for next time, we'll know to look out for those things, which I will be doing from our technical stuff too. But that opens so many doors to. Oh no, it's okay if you mess up,
Yeah.
because then the next time you can do it better. As long as you're thinking about it and considering it and seeing it as more of a learning and less of a failure, I think it's that affects a lot of people. You're absolutely right. Um,
100%. That's great.
so we have a great question around your creative process.
Okay.
Do you? And it's okay if you. I'm curious because some people have like some big thought out process, and then others just kind of like wing it, or creativity just like it just pours out of them, and they don't even have to consider or think about it. I know it could go either way here, but how do you approach your creative process when you're developing islands for your audience? And you specifically mentioned when we spoke how you love to make them unique and stand out.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you do to help guide you towards that end goal as well?
Yeah. So context for creativity for me, I literally don't know how to turn off my brain. I'm sure there's so many people in chat that can relate to this, where you're just asleep and your brain is like, what if you could do this? And then you're like, shut up. And it's like, no, but think about it. Like, what if you could actually do this? And you're like, please, I'm trying to sleep. But your brain just cannot like stop. That's kind of what happens to me a lot of times. So some of my maps actually are like me going to bed and then thinking about a concept or an idea and going, I wonder if I can make that. And then trying to. So a lot of my process is coming up with a really dumb, funny, unique, weird idea and then working backwards from that point. Because like those limitations we talked about, could, like there could be something that works for that, or there could be something that doesn't work. There could be tools that work for it, or there could not be tools that work for it. And so you're having to work with your whatever type of tools that you have or know. And so when you're starting out, especially, I think you don't know what tools you have. You don't know if you're capable of certain things. And so you have to start somewhere. And so a lot of my maps actually were me asking an idea, like what happens if I have animations and somebody joins in progress. That was Fortnopoly. What happens if you want to do like a different styled pit map that is unique and different, and like, okay, well, what if you play around with this idea? So every single one of my maps was kind of me exploring a game type or trying to figure out a learning. And those all, like I said earlier, stack on themselves. And so I think like my creative experience personally is just me having a really weird idea. Like, for example, like I love the game of Fortnite. I've been playing it as a content creator for a very long time. And I am at a place where I go, that POI is lame, or that POI is awesome. Like my brain has seen so many POIs. I'm like, but why isn't there a water park POI? Like there should be a water park. Like a water park in Fortnite would be so fantastic. And so then I'm like, well, there isn't one. I'm going to make it. And so then I made it. And then what's great and I loved was Fortnite saw that I was making it and were like, hey, you want to have this in the summer thing? And it was like, absolutely. And so now there's a water park in Fortnite, right? And so I think like that type of mentality of just like letting yourself go and then seeing what is the concept or the idea that you love the most, and then work backwards from that. And then deal with the limitations to see if that creation can actually come to life. And I think that that is what makes some of my maps like fun, is that it just was a really fun idea or a really weird concept. And then I just was like, let's just follow this through. Like Barbenheimer was, a meme for a little while. And I was like, well, what if there was a map that actually had Barbie stuff and Oppenheimer together? Like, what would that look like? And then I just tried making it, and then it did really well, and had a lot of people came in and had fun with that. And so I think like it's okay to have a really bad idea. Like I have so many bad ideas, and those maps aren't made yet, but there's a concept or an idea that came from it that has influenced and informed other maps that I also create. So for me, at least within the creative realm, I think I just let myself go, try to come up with that one concept or idea, and then work backwards from it. And it's worked pretty well for me.
Thank you so much for the detailed answer on that and for giving some clear examples too, because that's extremely helpful for a lot of people here. And I also saw quite a bit of DMs, or sorry, messages in agreement regarding the best ideas come when people are sleeping or
Oh, yeah.
in between, or is like the shower thoughts but for sleeping. Yeah, and I actually I agree, and the same thing happens to me for this kind of stuff. It's always right around that time where your brain's like, oh, but what if we did, what if we got a creator come on and talk about this? What if we had a new creator and a veteran creator and they did a fireside, like all these and they just keep popping up in the middle, and I'll be like, I just want to sleep. But also I want to write these down. So thank you for the details though on how you kind of come to that the creative decision making when you're planning something. And if anyone in chat too, if there's any advice you have or thoughts around your process, please feel free to share in chat as well. Because yeah, I know I'm definitely paying attention. I know a lot of others are watching the chat here, so super cool to see y'all sharing in there.
Yeah, I love that.
So you've built some crazy stuff, Jer. Some really wild things. I have played most of them, and I remember when Barbenheimer came out, and I could not believe the beauty of that island. So you killed it there. I'm wondering if there's any particularly challenging creation you've built and how you overcame obstacles during that process. Any story that you think could help others.
Yeah, I think a shout out to our 1.0ers in chat who have like endured the evolution of this whole thing. It's can be tough. Like I think the parts of me that like had like I had to overcome a lot of things of like when I use a device and I think that device works a certain way and then it kind of doesn't. Like it's crazy because you could like talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, this is a way to go around it. And then you would talk to another person and they'd be like, a completely different way to get around it. And then you talk to another person and there's another way to get around it. There's so many ways to make like anything that you're trying to do conceptually come to life, utilizing so many different tools. And I feel like that is the thing that I've had to learn. And I don't think I would have as much success if I didn't have like UEFN community members being a part of that conversation. And we'll probably talk about this, but there's like the community of UEFN and creative is so awesome. Like there's so many great people out there that are coming from Unreal or coming from Fortnite or coming from like, you know, their own dev studio to like indie guy to like one person who just wants to make a map that like isn't in Fortnite. There's so many people in this community that are so well versed, if you will. I'm becoming a dad, so it's coming out. But like I do think that like people out there are a huge part of how you learn and grow, right? Like there aren't like a crazy amount of tutorials. If you're good at reading forum posts, I'm more of a visual learner myself, then awesome. But like there aren't like crazy, you know, YouTube videos about everything inside of it because it's so brand new. And so I do think there are people in the community. There's some in chat right now that I see that have been making that stuff. And thank goodness for you guys. Big shout outs. But I do think like a majority of the community, like if you're not involved, I think that that's a really great first step. And I'm glad that like I jumped in when I did because I really am grateful for those relationships because they help you like learn like some of these tools that like, you know, not everyone's going to be a baseball player. If you throw a kid off the stands into a baseball game, I don't know if they're going to hit that, you know. So it's just like there are pieces that you have to learn and develop over time. And by building people up in this community and by like both helping them and them helping you, like I think that's like a really great marriage of how to do this well. At least like what I have found to be really helpful.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot, especially when it comes to learning communities.
Yeah.
Even if the, you know, the, I guess for lack of a better term, the mother, you know, studio is trying to put out as much information and resources as possible, it usually is the community that really, really, really comes together and shares and shows and it experiments and comes up with new, you know, process and tutorials and things like that, and really thrives in that way. That's how you know. So I'm really proud of this community and all that they do. And of course, we are always, if you ever have any feedback of what resources would be great, or what you need, honestly, the team's always looking for that stuff too. So if there's, you know, any specifics, please do share, especially on the forums if you can, because our teams are keeping an eye over there. But if anyone in chat too, if there's anything in particular that you do to grow, to develop, to learn, please do share. If there's anything in particular that helps you the most, I see Clever Like in there. We appreciate you.
We really appreciate it. Oh my gosh.
So helpful. And I think directing
I
P
think
was in
there
here.
is something to say about this. Like if you're looking to create content, like you want to be a content creator, this is a new scape, you know, like this is a new landscape. There's so much opportunity here to if you're good at articulating yourself, you're good at like showing people a process, you can grow a YouTube on this content. Like you really can. And so that's another thing to say. Like there's so much room for people helping each other in a way that like is specific to project needs. So yeah, food for thought. If you're out there and you're like, man, I make really cool things, but people don't know about it. I think like that's a very honest perspective to have, like of like creating a map and like how do I get people to go there? Like, you know, and I think it's by learning how to participate in community, learning how to use social media. Like I think that that's a crucial element to moving the conversation forward and getting exposure. And so I think about that too. You know, I think like I always find it really fascinating that people are willing to spend, you know, the utmost hours like building their map, you know, 400 plus, and then they spend a minute, you know, tweeting it out. And I think like that disposition, I think, needs to kind of change to see yourself as a content creator for your map is really, really like an art that could be worked on for a lot of people, including myself.
Thank you for bringing that up. It is huge. So not only are you all developers, you are managers, you are project managers,
Yeah.
you are community managers, and you're marketing managers, okay? No big deal. Not like that's a ton of work or anything. But that can be kind of overwhelming when you think of it in those terms. But taking baby steps into what
Mhm.
is going to help. If you're putting all that time, like you're saying, Jared, putting all that time into those islands, maybe putting some extra time into, brushing up in your skills for marketing on social or building your brand, right? I mean, you're awesome at that. We could talk forever about that as well. I'm sure there's so many things we could talk about. Well, we might have to have Jared back on, if he's down with it
Always,
after
always,
the
always.
kerfluffle of today. But yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I'm seeing. Oh, here's a good question.
Yeah.
This comes up later, but I might as well say it now. This was also submitted, but Yurk is asking, what are your best practices for marketing your maps?
That's a great question. I think like turning on your content creator brain, I think is something that is a flexed muscle over time, right? Like I like to think of my map. If you could narrow it down to one sentence, like elevator pitch your map, what is that? What is it? And then how do you showcase that to, like, in video format or in a way that gets people excited? We call this a hook in content creation. You want an initial hook. What is the thing that right when they see this video, right when they see this tweet, right when they see it, they think to themselves, "Oh, I want to play that," or "Oh, I'm interested," or "Oh, like what is the thing?" Right? And I think that if you can get it to a sentence and you can find a way to articulate that hook in a really cool way, I think that helps on social, right? Like that will have more legs on social, rather than just like, here's just a trailer, or here's just a snippet, or here's whatever. Try to think strategically of how you get somebody excited to jump into your map. Like what is exciting about your map? And then if you're asking that question and you go nothing, then great. Like we got, maybe we have a little bit more work to do on making the map more enticing and more like exciting. And I think there is also a hook when you have somebody play your map. Like I'm like, I have this problem where like I just assume the players like knows what they're gonna do because I've been in my map so much, and I've just been sitting in it. But fresh eyes are so crucial, because if you can have fresh eyes go like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm working on a project right now. I have a friend go in and he's like, I don't understand anything. And I was like, like I want to say like, you're just not smart. No, but it's because I've been saturated in it. Like I've been like a mad scientist, like boiling up things, and then they come in and go like, what is going on here? Like clean up your room. And so those, like, we need those hooks as well in our game. Like when somebody drops into your game, are they thinking to themselves, well, what's that? Or what, like, can I do this? Or whatever. Like we need that hook to get them excited about the game itself too. So I think it goes both ways, both on like the content side, like to kind of like showcase and share and be excited about it. And a lot of times you can build up that hype by showing people the process along the way. And so you can tweet out something that could be very exciting for somebody to look at and be like, oh my gosh, like how did you do that in creative? Like that's so cool. And then people are like, when does the map get released? And you're like, soon, with the eyes.
Yeah.
But then you can build on it and build on it and build on it. And then when it releases, you have this momentum of your creation that you've been slowly building alongside the community that can be really, really valuable to so many people. And I think that's what, virality is just like this, like to be excited on behalf of something you're creating. And by manufacturing that, it just takes a little bit of intentionality and a lot of bit of work. And if you're willing to do that, then like, yeah, I think that can pay dividends in people playing and checking out your map.
I was gonna say, Word Andrew, I've seen you do this. I didn't know you were there. Hi. I've seen Wirt do it. I've seen
good.
definitely Squatting do it. I've seen TIE Fighter
Tom
and
Jane.
Sighted Sloth do it. Yep.
So
There's
many
a lot
people.
of people in here.
Yeah.
So good job to all y'all who are already already doing all that work, and definitely good for inspiration. So, but man, I'm sitting here thinking, maybe there's a future. It would be cool to do some sort of a fireside chat with more of us, Jer,
Yeah.
who have been in content creation for a while, like Immature and you, and maybe Mustard and someone else, like talking about marketing. That would be kind of cool just to see all bounce ideas off of each other.
Oh yeah.
Um,
You get us in the room,
we
we're just we won't stop talking.
We could talk about it all day, the marketing part, because I know that's super helpful. But
Yeah.
we do tend to focus on that one a lot, just because I know people have questions. If you do have any other questions, feel free and drop them in chat. We have a decent amount to go through today, but happy to pull some if we can. Um, so you were talking about how, there are certain limits in these platforms, and in a lot of ways that's good. Also, in what ways do you tend to test the limits of what's possible in creative and UEFN? Is there any good example of those specifically, or how you go about doing it in terms of process that would be helpful to others?
Honestly, I probably am more like there's no elegant answer to this. I stumble and fall into these things all of the time. Like it's just like I am the most clumsy. Like I think I can do something and then I try to do it and I can't. And I'm like, why? Oh my god, what's this? Like, and I think like that's the natural way. I think for me to test limits is to think like, what if I put 100 players in this map? And then watching it like lag out and be like, okay, like can't do that. Like I think it's by testing like what you're wanting to do, right? And working backwards. Kind of like what I said at the beginning. It's just like you have to know what those walls are, and they're kind of invisible until you run into them. And I'm really, really, really talented at running into them. Like I feel like I've got like the perfect noggin to take a few headshots. But like that's the reality, I think, for me. There might be more elegant answers from people in chat, but I think like when I'm learning by most of my mistakes, and then like building myself up to be able to know, okay, there's a wall here. Like, how do we now interact with that? But I do like pushing the limits because I'm a creative person and I see Fortnite not how it is now, but how it could be, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so I do I mean, we've had conversations. I'm like knocking on Epic's door, like, yo, what's the deal with this? Like, like, because I want all of us to like be able to create the things we dream about. We want to create the ideal games, and creative is in such a great spot, and its potential is insane. And so it takes a lot of work to kind of like learn where those tension points are. But like if we're investing our time and energy into this, like it's only going to keep getting hopefully bigger and better. And I think like Epic's dedication to communicating those things and also like building out this thing is so exciting because we can see it from other, you know, we can see it. Like I can see it. And so I just get like more and more excited, and those limitations and those walls will just slowly start growing and becoming bigger and bigger. And like our dreams will be fitting more comfortably inside of UEFN, And I think like over time, we're going to have a lot of leg room. We're going to have a lot of space. We're going to have a lot of opportunity. And that gets me really excited for, Fortnite Creative as a whole.
Yeah, just looking at what UE has accomplished in the years that we've been working on that, and what it's capable of now. And I know there's a lot of Epic team members who are working really hard to bring more parity there. So I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to see those. I know this definitely going to be a path, and it's going to be a long one, as we've seen with UE. But I'm excited to see what all comes from that as well. And I know you do a lot of collaboration. I know
Mhm.
I've seen you do it with not only the community, specific individuals, friends of yours throughout the space, your content creation. Um, is there any memorable experience that you can pull from in your time collaborating with someone within UEFN that has had an impact on your work that was memorable to you?
There are so many people. I mean, there are so many people that I'm like really stoked that I have the opportunity to work with currently, but also like moments throughout creative that like were really impactful to me. One that I think like that's really special was Game Jam when we got to do that. If you don't know what Game Jam is, they do this every year, and like Epic puts on a game jam, and like they play community created games that are made within a week. And so there's like this mad rush of like trying to build a game that works in a week, which takes a lot of time, effort, and sleepless nights. And I got to work with two individuals, Oracle Chick, you might know her in chat, and then also Tom Jank, and we created a map that we thought would be really fun. And this theme was antiquated future,
Oh,
which is like really
yes.
difficult. Yeah. So it's like the future.
A beautiful phrase,
Yeah,
but very deep.
totally beautiful. And so we made the Oregon Trail, like a futuristic Oregon Trail, and we did not sleep for a week straight, and we just like made this really cool work of art slash funny slash unique game. And there were so many problems, there were so many issues, there were so many things that we had to figure out along the way. But like we got second place. We're like, whoa, like this is cool, like this is fun. And like I think like that I cherish that because uh it's a unique circumstance and a unique, if we limitation to like a reality. It's like we have a week to do this. There is a deadline. We have to have this done at this specific time. And so that means compromise. That means figuring out new ways of doing things, and that means like putting our best ideas forward, and innovating wherever we can to make that dream a reality within that time frame. And I think like that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this, is like I really like having specific like limitations, because you can't think outside of the box if there isn't one, right? And so sometimes it's good just to put yourself in a box and go, can we do this? I don't know. There's a project I'm working on right now where I'm like, can we do this? I don't know, but like in those moments in that incubator, you're able to really cook. And I think like that to me was something that was really fantastic, in collaboration. And I think like if you're out there and you're looking to collaborate, like I highly recommend it. Like a lot of times we're a piece of a pie, and we try to be the whole pie when we do it alone. And that's what I did a good chunk of my starting this, was like I tried to do everything. I tried to be an expert at everything, and it's really hard because there's so much to learn. If you're not a content creator but you're really good at map design, or you're really good at verse but you don't know how to build anything, like there's so many pros and cons in what we are capable of. And sometimes by just finding another piece to your pie, can help make something more beautiful than you could have done by yourself. And so I do think like I encourage people to collaborate as much as possible. I collaborated with Courage JD. We built some stuff together, and it was like so fun, like coming up with ideas, like working together in unique ways and building really fun ideas for videos alone. And it's those types of opportunities that I think like when you have that moment with somebody, they can then vouch for you if somebody else is looking for something. And then you're building out, like a really cool, engaged facing community, and being utilized for your skill set, and also learning so much from others. And I think that is what I love the most with working with people and individuals, is you get to learn like at a rapid rate, right? Because you're walking in alongside somebody. You guys both have the same benefit of this thing succeeding. And so when it succeeds, you both succeed. And therefore you want the best foot for both of you forward. And so I really do think like collaboration will be king in UEFN as we move into the future, and it gets more and more like bigger and better. We're going to have to kind of figure out, well, where do we fit in all of this craziness? And I think when you can be honest with that, and then be open to, I'm not an expert at first. I need somebody like Mark out there in my life to help inform me of like what this means. Like that is so powerful when done well.
Thank you. Thank you for diving into that. It's definitely a very strong lesson that if you haven't learned it already, it is a phenomenal one. It helps so much. I believe when we had Dolphin Dom on, he said something very similar to where he was like, "Oh, I just try to do everything by myself, and then I joined a team, and then I realized that I can learn from these people, and they can learn from me, and we can like put our strengths together and build something out like that." And in terms of collaboration, Jer, just for the sake of our audience and looking for direction typically around this topic, is there anything specific you would advise someone trying to collaborate with another person? Either a specific type of person to look for or a specific way to approach someone you're looking to collaborate with? Is there anything in particular that you can give in terms of guidance along those lines?
Yeah, you just go into typical gamers DMs and you go, "Hey, I think you're cute," and then everything else works out. No, I think like being able to uh, like like the answer's always no unless you ask. That's what I would say. The answer is always no unless you ask. Like, why not? Why not? Like, and I know people's DMs are closed and all that stuff, but like, you'd be surprised at how willing people are to try. You know, like we're all figuring this out together. We're not experts. I'm not an expert. I'm speaking about this and I'm advocating. I'm not an expert. But collectively, you know, we can. We're incredible, right? We're incredible, and we all have incredible parts of ourselves. And so, like, if you know those pieces about you, you know what you can offer to a team, you know what you can offer, then like, yeah, just ask. Like, don't be scared. Just ask. It doesn't hurt. The only thing that can hurt is them saying no. And if the answer was already no because you didn't ask, then whatever, you know? So I think like I have I have put myself out there multiple times and have been denied, and that's okay. Like those things will come back around to themselves, and I think that's okay. Like, but by not asking, and by not approaching, and by not trying to collab, and by not offering like what you have to offer, I think you're just going to isolate yourself. And I think one thing that is really tough about being a solo dev in this space is it's lonely. Like it's really lonely. Like luckily I streamed a good chunk of a lot of the maps that I made. So I was able to go insane with others. You know, and they're like squatting. It's just like the first thing I tried to animate was this duck, you know, like I was like, I'm gonna animate, I'm gonna do this. And I was like trying to get it to move, and then all of a sudden it like went off to the side, and I was like, what is going on? Like what
Not
is
the
the access? You know, like and all the chat, you know, like try this, try this, try this. But like it's really, really important, I think, like to throw yourself out there. And when you have awesome things, just do it. Like just do it, and then thank me later, because stuff tends to move forward, whether that is how you expect it to be or not. Like I think things will move forward.
Absolutely. Another piece that I have learned, used to do some education around collaborating in another UGC space, but um, I believe this would hold true here, and that would be if you do outreach, and tell me what you think too, Jer, about this. If you do outreach to someone and you're nervous, you're not sure, oh, are they going to accept me or are they going to be down? Like you said, the worst thing they can say is no. But I would definitely suggest taking time and being thoughtful about your outreach.
Yeah.
Maybe coming up with an idea for how you want to collaborate specifically. So you come to them with a proposition like, oh, I'm thinking about working on this. I think us working together would be good because of X, Y, and Z. I'm passionate in the space. And then also maybe adding in exactly why you love to work with them specifically. I saw your
Yeah.
work in this, and I think that's why, just kind of tying it back around. But it's harder when, at least in my experience being community manager at previous places as well, and even here when people are reaching out, oh, I want to be, and this is a totally random example, but I want to be on a fireside, but
Mm-hmm.
but then not giving context to, but here's what I could add to the fireside, here's what would be
Sure.
good that I can talk about. I think it would be phenomenal if we did a topic about that. So the more context shows that you're thoughtful, that you're thinking business wise, you're going, oh, this is why it would be really helpful for everyone. And I think that resonates a lot more, and definitely is going to pull my eye a bit more, as a
Yeah.
content creator or as a company, going, oh no, they've thought about this, they're being thoughtful. So definitely I've seen that work, but what do you think, Jared?
Yeah, I
Does that
agree
usually help?
100%. Tact is so crucial, but we're talking about problem solving in some respects too, right? Like a lot of times it's like finding a problem. And so if somebody has a problem, like a good example would be like I was trying to build like an VFX, and I was like kind of not I'm not an expert at that, and so I was learning, right? I'm like teaching myself how to do this, and then somebody in my chat was like, "Yo, I've made something like that if you want to check it out." And then I was like definitely interested because I was like spending like 3 hours like trying to make a lightning bolt happen. So I like pulled up their thing, and then we built a friendship from it. Like he was just like a really nice guy, and then all of a sudden like he's like, yeah, like why don't you use it? And I was like, okay. And then I shouted this guy out, and then it's just these like problem solving pieces. Like we all are really good at solving specific problems, and so if you're in a community or you're invested in a person that you want to work with, like just pay attention to their own needs. And if you have something that can solve a problem for them and you're willing to like throw it out there, I think there are some weird parts to some of this too, like where people will be like, yo, if you do this, I'll do this. And it's like, that can be a little, tough to navigate. And I think there are
tact.
a lot of people that are like, hey, can we collab? And it's like, to your point, like there was no thought in that message at all. Like, I don't even know who you are. Like, what do you mean collab? Like, and so I think like you do want to put something forward. I've in one of my jobs, I used to go through a lot of resumes, and the resumes that set themselves apart were the ones that were skillfully designed and built beautifully or had a picture or whatever. And I think the same is true in this space, is like if you can show somebody what you're capable of or what you built or what could be helpful in collaboration, a lot of times that will go further than just expecting like that they will respond to you online.
Yep, absolutely. And it all goes back to that whole thing too. You're building your network, which was a great point, and you're building those relationships too. But yeah, the problem solving is especially interesting. And thank you for sharing that story. That was super helpful. Well, let's see. We've got so many questions to go through. It's my fault. I've been.
No, it's mine. Remember, I broke the stream earlier.
No, it's mine.
We're so nice.
I refuse. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, okay. So speaking of which, Jer, someone asked, and I added some context too. Building gaming communities requires a very special skill. You talked about it. You talked about flexing it, especially as a content creator. But in terms of the community building rather than just the marketing, what strategies do you foster or do you use to foster a strong sense of community among your audience? I see a lot of them here today. So
yeah, they're the best.
We know it works.
Dog squad represent. Yeah,
that's right. It's the booty emotes with the dogs, right?
Yeah, we get some booties in chat too.
Some doggy booties.
Yeah, that's a great question. Community is not easy to build. A lot of times, you have to foster an environment of safety, of value and appreciation for people that are different than you, that are unique. And so I do think like fostering community, I'm highly relational, like in life. Like, so to me, it is more natural for me to not be afraid of going up to somebody and saying hello and like engaging with them and all that good stuff. But I do think like it stems from the difference of using somebody and like just learning how to love and appreciate somebody. I think people feel, and it feels different when somebody comes up to you and you feel like they're trying to use you for something rather than care about them or like give an S about them. Like if you actually care about people, trying to find the shortest distance of finding a connection can be really crucial in building community, right? Like, and in streaming, this is a common like thought. It's like, what is the shortest distance that I can make a connection with you without knowing you at all, right? And so sometimes what I do is I just make fun of myself and people laugh. And so then it's great. Like, but then you find that somebody's a 49ers fan and you realize finally somebody who gets football. And so then you instantly, can say stuff like that. And then you build that connection. And then you're like, finally, like, and then you get a Raiders fan and then you ban them immediately. So it's like perfect. Like you just like build by finding the shortest connections of like stuff that people love, and you just connect with that and you care about it. You don't like try to use that person for your own benefit. And I think that if you can do that on an individual basis with people, I think they start stacking up and they start like realizing like you're now creating an environment that people feel known, they feel welcomed, and they feel like they can be themselves. And that's kind of been my mantra from the start in any type of community building, is the idea of like, come as you are, like wherever you're at, like wherever you're at. And there are rules, like we're going to treat each other well, but like, that doesn't mean life doesn't suck for you right now, right? Or that doesn't mean like we're all going to be in different places, and that's okay. So I might have a little bit in my tank to share with you when you don't have something in yours. And when you do that with others, you start to build a really beautiful thing where people actually start to care more and more. And then you start doing life alongside of them, and then you build that trust and all that good stuff. So I do think community, I'm getting a little emotional because it really is important. Like building relationship with people is so crucial to not being lonely, and feeling isolated, but also like making actual change in relationships and with people, like actually being there when things are tough. Like that's hard to do online. But I do think by just finding that shortest distance and by developing that over a course of time, like that can really develop to be some really life-changing community aspects. And so that's what like I love about Fortnite. It's like I've built relationship with people of like all different paths through this platform. And I think that can be a powerful tool over time, rather than somebody feeling like you're just using me to get somewhere or whatnot.
Well, it wouldn't be a fireside chat without all of the feels. That always happens. So, so of course we had to get there, right, Jer?
Yeah.
Where's the love in chat? Drop some love in there. Let's share some love around for the community and for what this community means, because I, I'm so proud of this community for caring as much as they do about each other, and it's people like you, Jared, that help with that. I mean, you have a platform, you're a content creator, so you, Epic, others that are in the space that have platforms, like Wirt and Mac, and people who are on Twitter, and people who are loud about certain things. It's also your tone that impacts that a lot and helps build this community and how we feel and how we treat each other. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. So like I said, we have so many to get through. Oh my goodness. So on that note of community, some here might not know how you contribute to the broader Fortnite creator community.
Okay.
I know I've seen you do certain events that are really cool, that you're doing to help, give feedback to other community members. I know, of course, FCHQ does similar, but for you specifically, Jer, you know, what specific events and things would you like to share about how you've contributed to the community, just to kind of bring awareness to that, but also, what has helped build community and helped the community that you've worked on? And I know it's kind of hard because it's like a moment of talk about all the cool stuff you do and why you're awesome. But I'd love for other people to know the kind of stuff that's out there, and also maybe it'll inspire others to do similar projects.
Well, I think like Fortnite has become massive, like massive, like it's crazy. And there are like, you could be a content creator on the competitive side. You can be a content creator of like racing now, on Lego. Like there is so much to the community. And I think like there is a value in holding a pulse to it all, because opportunity can come in many different forms and in many different ways. And sometimes by putting yourself in the right place at the right time, things can change for you. And I'm an advocate of that happening. I have tried my best to like I didn't start any of this to be a content creator. Like I didn't. Like I always thought that it would be kind of fun, but I just wanted to help out. That's it. That's what it boiled down to for me. Like when I started, was just like I saw a need and a problem, and I filled that gap, and then built community from that gap, and then like realized, whoa, there's a lot going on here. There's so much to this community. Like I I'm it's like overwhelming, right? And so I would advocate that like having a pulse on the community as a whole is really crucial, right? Like if you're building creative maps especially and you don't know where your player base is, like that's a problem that you're gonna have to figure out, right? So like where players are and where you want them to be are not the same. No matter how cool I make a map and no matter how awesome it is, getting a player that just wants to do 90s into it is tough. That's a tough thing. That's a tough task. And so we have to know all of the pieces that's going on. Like what percentage of the people that play Fortnite want to play a single player experience? That's a great question to ask, right? And if we're honest, like it's going to take some work to get players to want to do that. And so I think like by being as close to the community as you can be and as involved as you can be will net you some really incredible moments and opportunities. I'm super fortunate that Epic Games has been so kind to me. Like I just feel like I am like blown away by that. And you know, people all the time ask, how do I get a creator code? How do I, you know, like, and it's just different than why I started. Like I didn't start it for any of this. I just started to be helpful. And then I started loving it. You know, I started love being creative and I loved like playing the game. Like and so it evolved into a space for me that I am very fortunate of and don't take for granted. But when people come with the perspective of like, you know, I just want to make money or I just want like it's hard for me to relate so specifically to that because I think like creating opportunity for yourself I think is finding like holes in what in our community and filling those holes to and then being a part of a community that impacts you beyond just trying to make money or make yourself popular or get this many viewers on YouTube. Those are all wonderful things as personal projects and goals, but I do think like our community is so vast that there's crazy opportunity everywhere. And if you don't have your hand on that pulse, it's going to be kind of hard to know how to pivot when you need to and where to dedicate your time and attention to something that's missing, that's very gaping in our community. And so, yeah, I don't know if I answered the question entirely, but I feel like I'm truly grateful, like of my journey and am so excited for the future. And I really do want and try to be a positive impact on those around me and to inspire people to also try that as well. Because I think the more people that care about one another and the more people that are in this place together, like the better this environment can be and the less toxic, you know, it will continue to be. So, yeah.
You actually asked the part that I left, or you answered the part that I left out in it, which was going to be the follow up. So at the same
Nice.
time, but I was going to ask why it's so important to you to be actively involved. So you very eloquently broke that down as well and shared that. So thank you for sharing all of that and going into you know, your experience and advocating for the community. I appreciate it. Super cool. And also, if there are, you know, certain events or things like that, just for everyone here, that you wish we did have or we could have or changes we could make to, for lack of a better phrase, fill those holes like you mentioned, feel free and you know, reach out to us on community. Let us know. We're always looking to kind of implement new you know, events or processes or something that can help. So we're here for you. And Okay, we're getting onto the exciting part.
Oh, nice.
That there it's all exciting, but
I
this is the
wasn't
most
excited
exciting
until
part.
now, so this is good.
It's all about filling those gaps in the creative space. So I know
Yeah.
you love talking about this. I'm super excited to hear what you have to share. Can you mentioned earlier, like being more unique, looking for the certain things that are not being done, or that the hole that could be filled for even say our player base. Can you give an example of a gap that you identified and then successfully filled with one of your creations, and how that went?
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned this earlier. We're gonna go back to water parks. If you
Oh
want to know
yeah.
if there's one thing to take away, I
Let's go
love
back to
water
water
parks.
parks.
I just
I love
love
water
water
parks.
parks.
I'm from Florida,
They're
so of
gross
course
and
I
nasty and whatever. I don't care. I'm in the lazy river. I'm having a good time. Okay, but
yes.
like for me, like I think if we look at Fortnite as like a little meta version of our Earth, a little baby version, where it's like, we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now. We've got all of these really cool things. There's a lot of things that we don't have. There's a lot of things in Fortnite we don't have. And I just like looking for those things of like, we don't have a water park. That's a crime to Fortnite. And so I'm going to make one, like I'm going to fill that gap. And I think that reality is something that a lot of creators don't take into consideration. It's like, what are so many things out there that we have not done, and maybe try to move in that direction. I know it's really easy to see what's popular and then build something that's also like hopefully like gets in a little bit of that popularity. But I mean, I hope that like this process is also fun for you, right? Like, and so sometimes it's like looking at something that's popular and going, what's the gap? What is it missing? What can I add that's uniquely me to it? And like, thinking about that for a little bit. And then you start to come up with, I think, some of these concepts and ideas. But I do think like, yeah, I was really stoked that when, I made the water park that like Epic Games noticed. It was like, whoa, okay, like this is cool. Like they know that they need a water park in this, like, but like that's I think a really great way to workshop ideas out is just find those gaps that are that you notice as a player, you notice as a gamer, you experience as like. I think that's why we went through that fun tycoon thing phase. It was like because there was a gap there, like there was a player out there that wanted that grindy experience, and
A
it,
ton,
it paid
turns out.
off, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
those blew up. So there's a lot of other games out there that are also looking for gaps that have similarities to Fortnite and that can translate to Fortnite. And so I think there's tons of opportunity to just look at Fortnite as a whole. What are we doing? And then where's the gaps? And then if you pay attention to that enough, I think you'll find something, and you could find some success in paying attention to that as well.
Absolutely. And we know that the importance of creativity and imagination, and you were talking about how being creative is a major part, if not one of the biggest part of your life. Um, how do you nurture and harness your creativity to build those types of islands that you do squatting? I know you said it comes to you typically when you're laying in bed, but is there
Yeah.
any other thoughts you have around, how you continue to nurture that skill of yours and that
Okay.
quality?
So you call it a skill. I'll call it never growing up. I think
Oh.
my disposition towards being a child at heart is what helps in this regard. And I'll lay this out for you, right? So like if I'm creating a world where you're a little person in a big world in the sense of like you're really small, the size of an action figure, and you're running around a table, right? And you look over and you see a whoopee cushion. My first thought as a gamer is, can I jump on that and will it make a fart sound? And
Yes.
I
That's exactly what I
want,
did in your map.
yeah, exactly.
This is my thought process.
Yeah. My thought process is if a kid is thinking that, the answer should be yes, right? Like if a kid goes into your world and looks up at something and goes, well, I wonder if the refrigerator is cold. The answer should be yes. Like use your imagination of like a child, right? Like what is a child thinking? And then build upon that, right? Build upon those worlds. And I think like that's where my imagination starts to kick in, right? Like you can create something, you can create I don't know, a giant crab. And then you're like, I wanna be able to ride that crab, and then go attack somebody. Like if that's your thought process, like try to follow that thought as far as you can, in your maps of like, if you build something, why is it there? Why is it there? And if it's something cool, and it should be, cool, right? Like it shouldn't just be there just to be there. And so I think intention behind what you put in your maps is crucial to letting players feel more involved in it, make it feel like a real world, make it feel very involved. And I think like by practicing that, like how I'm articulating it as a kid, like really helps me world build like nobody's business. Because I'll jump into it and start thinking that way. And all of a sudden, I'm building a narrative to something that does not matter at all. But when somebody plays my map, they go, whoa, like this is so thought out. And this is so, like, are we allowed to show brands? Thanks.
That's a good question.
There's gonna be a big blur out on the.
No, okay. Just to be safe, let's.
Just gave it to me, so I'm sorry.
This can't be an even more chaotic fireside, Jared. Just can't. You can't break me today.
I got it. We're fine.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. Okay. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, follow the thought process. Like if you're creating something, create it with intention and let your imagination kind of take over of why it's
there. Chat is killing me. That is a great absolutely. Thank you so much. Because I think I've definitely heard that before with like the staying young at heart definitely helps, but I've never really known anyone that has specifically said that. So that is good to hear. Like, no, can confirm that is the way that it is done. So so all y'all here
helps for me at least.
Just keep being out of pocket and you'll be fine. Oh, I'm loving today. So gosh, we have so many. I know we're over even our hour. Let me see. But I want to make sure we get the juicy ones. If there's any other Oh, ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Ooh. I really like this one. This was a great one. Thanks to the person who submitted it. How do you ensure your creations resonate with the audience and your community while maintaining that high level of quality that you really care about?
Sorry, I got a little distracted. My wife brought in the second part, but I was like, okay.
Oh, no worries. How do you how do you ensure that your creations are going to resonate with the audience that you're trying to target, that you're trying to get involved, while maintaining your level of quality that you stand by?
Yeah. I think by nature, like if I have my name attached to something, I'm not gonna half do it. Like that's just kind of a part of my personality. Like I don't like my name being out there if it doesn't if it isn't quality, or if it isn't like something I'm proud of. I used to be a graphic designer for like so many years, like my my life, and you work with a lot of clients, and some clients want very specific things, and they're like, it has to be Comic Sans font, and you're like, if I make this with Comic Sans font, I will die inside. But then I make it for them, but I'm not like, hey guys, look at this cool logo I made with Comic Sans font. Like that's not a part of how I operate. And so I would just say that, like, to resonate with my audience, like, I'm going to make cool things. I'm going to make it fun. I'm going to go above and beyond to make this map work in a way that, like, has you in mind, right? I'm not going to just do it to do it. Sure, I'm going to do it in the respects of learning. I think that that's always crucial. But like my final products are going to be products that I'm proud of, and that I think are worth putting out there for people to have fun and have a good time and like create really incredible memories. And I think that's what it always circles back to for me. My favorite memories of all time are sitting on a couch with three of my best friends and just destroying each other in video games. And there are memories that we have had that are locked. They are locked in time and space, and they will always be with me. And I want to create maps and I want to create experiences that have that for you. Bottom line, like that's what I want. Like I want you and your friends to have moments where you're giggling and laughing and having fun and are like have those moments. And I want that for my players. And so when I create stuff, like I have that intention in mind. And so when somebody's like, hey, let's like half bake this, I go, it just makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, no, we have to see it through. We have to go the distance with this, because if you know if players don't have that experience, then why is it worth making these types of games? And I think that is also like brings up a really interesting point, because like you can make something like that and nobody plays it too, and I think that is heartbreaking. But like if you see that as an end, right, you see that as like, well, nobody likes you then, or nobody thinks you're creative, nobody cares, like if you have that in the back of your mind, like that's gonna spiral you really, really, really badly. I think you have to see everything you create as like a step to something else and a step to something else, because you like any game dev, like you want to get a game dev job, like it's like, yeah, you have the 12 years of experience do it, like, but the reality is because it's that step, like you're creating a step for yourself that you're going to use to build up another step and build this foundation that is so crucial to your development in the space. And so, yeah, I think by doing something well and learning from it can be some of the best things in this space. It's some of the best things. When something flops for me, I get real sad and I get real bummed, and I start thinking like, why did I spend all that time doing that? And then I have to come back to the reality of like, no, I'm here to make experiences for people on their couch that they'll remember forever. And I'm going to hold to that, I'm going to be accountable to that in my creation.
We appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for that. I have a very distinct memory of jumping on that whoopee cushion and laughing out loud because I was not expecting the audio. I was very impressed. But those were like that specifically though was when UEFN was much newer, and I was like, oh, but this hasn't been possible before. And I'm like, oh wow. So even in that small way, let alone everything else, that extremely that very much speaks to me.
I have a fond memory of like Tifu and DK playing rats, and then like Tifu looks at the Roomba and he's like, there's a Roomba! There's a Roomba! And they're like giggling like little boys, and I'm like, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. And that is so special and so great. And I really hope that that inspires people to try to shoot for that too, for sure.
I hope it does too. And as someone that's deeply invested in the Fortnite creator scene, what changes or trends do you personally foresee in the future for content creators and creator developers in the space?
This is going to be the easiest question of all time, and it's persistence. It is persistence, 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 persistence. Oh yeah, and persistence. And the reason why I say this is because if you pull up any mobile app that you have on your phone, it remembers your last progress of what you were doing, right? Like if I love Marvel Snap, it's like a great game. And if I lost my cards every time I played it, I would be sad inside, and I would be really bummed. And I think the reality of where we're at currently, like we have some persistence, but I think when we have the unlocked potential of persistence, you then are opening up the door to creative 3.0, if you will.
Whoa, don't get ahead of ourselves.
But I
No,
do
I
think
understand what you're saying,
that
though. Yeah.
that unlocks
The next
so much
level.
for us because you are able to build, environments and situations and things that hold your past players' experience, right? We have tycoons, and those are awesome, but they're usually capped at a 4-hour experience. Imagine the ability for that to be an 8, a 12, a 20, a 200, right? Like the ability to continually invest into your product, but then like give them rewards that are significant to them in that world, right? Like, and I think that is what I'm looking forward to, like the evolution of persistence. But I do think that when that happens, it'll just unlock a floodgate of crazy potential in our community.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm seeing a lot of people kind of brainstorming in chat there too.
Yeah.
Uh, Um, and do you happen to have any advice? I know we've talked about a lot of advice. You've given nothing but advice today, Jared, and it's been
Good.
amazing.
That's
You've
great.
given everything and also nothing because you broke our fireplace. Just kidding. I just had to. It's your fault. You haven't beeped. You
Yeah.
haven't hit the beep too
Now
much.
we're fired up. We're getting to
You
a
haven't.
real podcast now. Now it's getting spicy in here. It's warming up.
Spicy. It wasn't spicy enough. We needed to make up for the lack of fireplace. What advice do you have for aspiring Fortnite creators who want to make their mark on this industry, Jer?
Good question. I think the more you can be yourself and share who you are and what you're making, the more better the community will be. What I mean by this is like inspiration is awesome. Like it's contagious. And by being somebody who inspires, you have to be able to show. And I think we live in a really cool world with social media where we have the ability to show things. I know there's also the counter argument, like don't show, hold your cards close, you know. And I think there's a season for that. When you're working on a really cool project or you're working collaboratively or like you feel like you have a concept that nobody's ever figured out. But if you don't have a following, you don't have people in your life that can see those things, a lot of times we'll build a map that's never been shown and it just goes nowhere. And I think there is a buildup in advertising that we talked about this. There's a buildup in being able to show the things that make you you and the things that you created that you're proud of. And by doing so, it invokes inspiration. When I see some of the posts like of what people are creating, I just am like, wow, that's amazing. And then it motivates me to show what I'm making and what I'm creating. And that's so contagious in this community. And it's so fun to see the community get like riled up. There's a lot of like superhero box PvP maps going on right now. And just recently there's someone who's creating effects for it, right? And he's been showing his effects off and people are like, oh my gosh, if I had this, like it would make my map so much better. And then like people are rethinking how they're expressing themselves. And then now this person is going to get tons of support, right? When he releases these things for the community. And it's so cool to see that ebb and flow. And I think like what I would recommend is just participate in that. And you will slowly start making your own mark because you're really talented and you're really incredible and you're learning. And by participating in our community, I think you're going to benefit so much from that ebb and flow. But it takes that willingness to participate and open up to that. And I think like as you do, you'll realize how many people are very supportive of what you're going to create and want to see you succeed. Because when one of us succeed, we all can as well. And so, yeah, I think I would say to leave a mark, you have to actually use your Sharpie, So like start swiping at stuff with it, like, and show us what you're made of, because I think we can all benefit and be inspired by you.
Yes. Shout out to those who are doing it. And you're absolutely right with it catching like wildfire. It definitely does. I am inspired when I see those posts, and I am a mere community manager. So I really appreciate when y'all share that. But it's also really insightful for everyone and just spreads that knowledge. And we need more of that sweet, sweet knowledge, don't we, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
with all of this, we've come to our sad end. It's only
Mm-hmm.
sad because you don't get to see Jared's amazing shirt any longer, or
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 your
this very
hair.
interesting setup. Oh, bless. Right here.
Or
Oh my
Dan,
goodness.
which I
Oh
miss
goodness.
so
Or
much.
Dan existing, but not quite here. We appreciate you, Dan. Also, I want to give a shout out to the wonderful Flack as well, and Dan,
Yes.
and everyone who made this happen, which
Yes.
is very few people. So thank you so much,
And I'm
everyone.
sorry for ruining it all.
You did not at all. I just now note to self, if someone's setup is too good, is too amazing, it's probably going to be harder for me to help them. So, so that's on me. But still, you look great. So that's
Wow.
all that really matters. You sound great. You look great. We made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you upset about the fireplace, look.
Blame me. I said it at the beginning. Just blame me. It's my fault.
You think I don't want a fireplace?
I owe you.
If I could have a real one.
Everyone that's watching, I owe you. I'm sorry.
Honestly, no, you don't. Honestly, I think going forward, I might just set this up in my living room and have an actual fireplace in the background, and that'll be perfection. And then we'll never have to worry about it again.
Yeah. An LED wall.
A fireplace. Yeah, I've seen those. They're only $1,000. That's fine.
Yeah, no problem. It's a tax.
It's one would hope. So, with all of that said, let's see. We know. Okay, look, I know. Look, I don't know if anyone else knows here, Jared, but you've definitely been hinting at something in the works for your future and your career here.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you have nothing to share. But do you have anything to share with us? Is there anything you can give us? Even a crumb? We like crumbs.
Yes, I will say this. Big things are in the works. I had mentioned collaboration, and I have to keep this vague, but there's a lot of really cool things around the corner. And people say soon all the time. You can expect this within 2 months to know.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
So 2, I think maybe 3. I think 2. You can expect to hear more soon. There is something that I've been working on with a bunch of other creators that is going to be sooner at the beginning of next month that we're also really excited to share. But a lot more to come on that. So just, I'll keep you posted. So I'll keep you guys all posted.
Sounds great. That sounds great. Well, we've got 1 minute, so we're going to go into our flash round. Surprise.
Ciao.
Anybody have any quick questions for Jared? We got quick questions. We
Quick questions with Jared.
We got to throw them. We got to drop them.
You got to be quick. You got to write them actually really quick.
Real quick.
Spelled correctly.
Don't think too hard. But also follow the rules. Where'd you get that shirt?
I got this shirt from Birdo?
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, nice.
DM me.
I love that.
What did you have for lunch? Something good that I can't wait to eat that I didn't share on stream.
So many fast dog or cat?
Dog. I'm Squatingdog. Dog. My dog was.
What did you have for lunch? Did you eat yet?
Unspoken.
We don't talk about that.
No. Favorite snake? Slytherin.
Nice.
How much water do you
drink? Yeah.
A lot. Too much?
No.
Not enough.
I feel bad.
Don't ask me about pickles.
I feel guilty.
Favorite Power Ranger? White Ranger. Or green.
Ooh, same.
Guff or jelly? Guff? 0 build unless I'm solo, then Battle Royale. Favorite Fortnite prop? Anything with a waterfall. Favorite Fortnite outfit every day? Mullet Marauder. Favorite show? We just watched Beef. Terminator or RoboCop? Nice. Terminator. Fortnite or Fortnite 2? Fortnite 2. How does the payment system work? Ask Shane.
I don't even know what's going on. And then just Beef
Star Wars.
Boss.
Favorite Peely skin, the robot one. Oh man, I just killed that.
Yeah, you really did. I'm losing it now. Favorite POI out of every chapter. Any chapter.
What's the square root of 169? 1.87321.
That's incredible.
I didn't know that. I just made it up.
It's- all right.
It's a
We're
great
all right.
question.
You
Great
guys have too many questions.
favorite key
Just
on the
kidding,
keyboard,
just kidding.
F.
It was just the right amount. Thanks, everyone. I think he has the same. Oh wait, I did see a video where you had the same mic that I have right now. I saw a video
Yes.
somewhere where you had it. Did you
I have
just
this
switch
one
over
now.
to a new one?
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
I have sponsors, but
Oh, but we don't talk about that
yeah,
here.
exactly. But you brought it
Anyway.
up, so it's your fault.
That is my fault. Finally, it is officially my fault. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for everyone who joined, for everyone who took part in this, for Jer and Flack and Dan the Tech Man for hanging on an
We love
extra
that.
40 minutes, maybe. No, wait, was it?
Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I'm so sorry, everyone. But we made it happen. We did it. We pulled it off. So thank you all for attending. If you want to check this out later, it is recorded. It's on our we have a YouTube. Yes, we have a Twitch. Check out the YouTube. The VOD will be there. It's at Fortnite Create, all written out. And our Twitch is FN Create.
If you don't do it, I am personally disappointed in you.
Wow.
Personally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support.
You're welcome.
I love that for us. If anybody else, if you are interested in coming on a Fortnite Fireside Chat, Fortnite Creator Fireside Chat, hit me up. Don't just say yo. That's the lesson that we learned from today. Don't just say yo.
Don't say yo.
Say this is why. This is what I want to talk about. I'm excited about it.
Check out cool I am.
Goodness.
All the yos are coming in. Chill,
okay,
guys.
you can say yo here. That's fine. But yeah. That's it for our chat. Thank you again, Jer, Squatingdog, for coming on. Maybe we'll see you again one day soon. And thanks for all you do for the community. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you for joining. Bye, everyone.
Love you guys.
Bye.